Hello and welcome back to Badger Outdoors. It's off for another wild camp, another rucksack, and I'm out tonight going to have a little hunt for hares. So in this wood here, which is one of my local woods, there are lots of hares, brown hares, and I've just slowly been learning about them. I went for a walk not too long ago in here, just doing a little recce of it like I usually do of the various places, and I just saw lots of hares that would suddenly jump up and run. So yeah, I'm going to go in and have a look. So I've been doing a bit of research about hares, just going to go in and take a look. So you are welcome to join me, but really they come out at night to do their feeding, so we've got some night vision in here to go and see if we can find them. Two parts of the wood really here. There's the part over there which is very well maintained by a big corporation. It's been thinned out massively with ash dieback, so it's very open in there, not a lot of cover if I'm going to wild camp, but I'm going to think about it. And then there's the old part in here which is just never maintained, and I've slept in there quite a few times. And I've noticed there's someone else has stayed in there. So I'm going to have a little wander, a little think about where I'm going to go, and I'll get back to you in a second. There's that bit over there which is a little bit more dodgy for me, a little bit more open and exposed, and a little bit more naughty. This bit here, nobody really cares about this bit of wood. The trouble with that is that up there, as you can see, there's that branch there which is dead. Not there, so I'm going to go and have a look for another little spot. Lots of things to think about. No real wind tonight, so I don't really need to consider that. But widowmakers in this part of the wood are without doubt my biggest worry. Yeah, so the old part of the wood I'm not going to go into. I went to my sections that I've been to before, and you just got to look up in pretty much in every tree there's 3-4 big limbs which are about to fall down. It's just not worth the hassle for me, if I'm really honest. I just don't want to bother with that, so I'm going to have to go into that bit of wood, which, like I say, is a lot more open and obvious, harder to disappear into the wood, so more chance of being picked out. But about now is when people are finishing work and they're taking their dogs out for a walk, so a bit of risk. I'm going to go in there, just find a good spot, and yeah, I'll get back to you. And then down here, I know I've seen a hare down here, and what hares do, what brown hares do, they don't live in burrows under the ground as you'd expect with rabbits. Hares live above ground, and I forget the name of them, but they dig a little trench into the ground, and that's where they live basically. And when they have their young, they put their young in these little trenches, these little dig outs, and the young spend the day there avoiding anything, keeping their heads down, and then in the evening the young will come out and they'll meet up with their parent in a place, and the parent will feed them, and then the parent will bugger off again, and the little ones head back in undercover. But yeah, so they just lay low, so they live on the surface. And around here I've seen quite a few, and you'll be walking along and then all of a sudden one will pop up and off he's gone. So with a thermal imager tonight, I'm hoping if I have a wander I'll be able to have a look. And then in order to walk around without being with a big flashlight, an option that I've got is infrared. So I've got infrared to get myself around the place, and then thermal to actually pick them out. And as I'll say later, thermal is great for seeing living objects, but it is terrible for navigating with in a wood. Whereas infrared is the complete opposite. So they actually work well together if you use both. What's this here? So it's hanging on that branch which goes up, and then there's that contraption I've got no idea what that is. I'm not putting my hand up in there, that's for sure. Okay, after what's been, I reckon, about 2 hours of walking. So I started off in the old unmanaged bit of wood over there, went all the way along the top, along there, right across deep into there, all the way. I've done a one big circuit, and now I've just ended up right bang in the middle. So this feels really exposed. This used to be really well hidden sort of wood, and I've stayed in here quite a few times, but then they absolutely devastated it last summer, and just, well, they haven't devastated it, they managed it. But I have managed to find two pines. I've got this pine here and that pine there, and I'll just go in between those. It means I'm going to get some nice sunlight all evening. It's a gorgeous evening, so what the hell. Yeah, what I'll do, I'll sort out the wood and everything first, and I'll put that somewhere, and I'll leave setting up all my camp gear until absolutely the last minute. I've seen one hare already. He was down there and scooted off, so he might have his little den down there. But yes, yeah, so I've got my thermal camera. I'll be out having a good look for them tonight after it gets dark. It is a crazy wood. I mean, Christ, I'm not going to have any trouble finding wood to burn. I'm just going to have to be very careful, because things have, although it's been pouring the rain for the last, well, all of March really, for the last 4 weeks. The surface bit has dried out the last couple of days of good weather, so I'm just going to have to make a good area for the fire, a nice clear area, because I am really exposed here, and I certainly won't be lighting it until the last minute, and it will just be for cooking. It is going to get cold tonight, but it'll just be for cooking, and then it'll go back out again. I wish I brought my bush box now. This area here, it is a bit of land that is managed by a big corporation, and they've clearly been in here doing a lot of work. I don't think they really care. There is a public right of way through the wood, and certainly in the past when they've been doing work in here, they put a big sign up saying, please enjoy the wood, but we've got workmen around in vehicles, etc., so just stay away from them, etc. But yeah, so, you know, inviting people to enjoy the wood. So, and I know lots of locals do walk dogs in here, so I don't feel unjustified in being here, but yeah, there we go. I don't think anyone's going to really care if I stay here the night. So and I will leave no trace, but I am keeping my eyes open constantly, just waiting for someone to come and rumble me. Okay, the bag. I've got yet another rucksack. My goal for wild camping is to have basically 3 rucksacks. I've got the Bergen, which is the Snugpack Bergen, 100 litres. Central main section is 70 litres, 2 15-litre side pockets, and then you've got you do have a section on the top as well. The main section isn't divided or anything like that, but the thing is just a Bergen. It's just there to carry weight, and I use that in the winter. I use that if I'm going to go heavy. I'm going to take some, you know, some cast iron stuff, something that I need a bag that can hold the weight and just has the volume as well. And it's been a great bag. I've had it for about 2 or 3 years. I can't think now, probably 3 years. It's been a brilliant bag, and that's the only bag I ever had. And I decided that actually I need a smaller bag, because just chucking that thing on my back and going off, you know, from an urban area and walking out into the woods was just really bloody obvious. So I ended up going for getting the Forces 44, which was a bit of a whim purchase. I saw it, I thought, oh, that's about the right size, let's just get it because I'm off this weekend. It wasn't particularly expensive, I got a little bit of money off it, so I went and got that. And that's been okay. I've used that quite a few times. I do like it. I've done a couple of little modifications on it, and I quite like it. I then decided that there was a gap between the two where I didn't quite want, that was too small and that was just too big, and that 60 litres for me has just proven to be the sort of the perfect size for all my gear most of the time. So I ended up going and getting the Forces, the Pro Force 66. Didn't like that. That's now my get your home bag. and I got the Marding top, 60 litre Marding top, which I think has been brilliant, and it's got a little bit of a hammering by Luke at the outdoor gear review, who had a real go about it because of comfort, because the internal frame is quite flexible, and he's quite right. He had an issue with the straps, but he was looking at the 65 litre version, which is a very different design. The straps, I think the straps look different, or they certainly go higher up. It's a different sort of shape bag, but he didn't really look at the quality of the stitching, the material, the design layout, all those things, which I think are fantastic on that bag. Absolutely love that bag. But it's the Forces 44 that I don't know, it's good in that it's a grey colour, it's a little bit urban, it doesn't stand out too much, but I wanted something that was a little bit more bushcrafty, that I could slide my my axe down into, or my silky down between the pocket and the main section. Just something that was a little bit different, but that sort of size. So I've ended up getting this bag here, which I'll show you now. So I've got two. So I've basically got my heavyweight Bergen, I've got my lightweight Forces 44, and this one now, and then I've got the Marding top 60, which sits in the middle, which is my mainstay, if you like. So I've got two of the 44 sort of size, 44, 45. I'm just going to decide which one I prefer and then get rid of the other one, I suspect. So this is the bag that I went for. Okay, the bag itself is a OneTigris. It's a WildRocket 45. 45 litres in that the central compartment is 36 litres. You've got 3 litres on each side, and then you've got a big pocket here, which is 1.5 litres, another pocket here, which is 1.5 litres. These are on the outside of the thing, and it is a roll top. Now, I've never had a roll top. I'm not convinced. I'll be honest, it's the one thing that puts me off a little bit, but actually it's been pretty good because it's been quite straightforward. A bit of Velcro, and in you go. And look up, you see other people will do videos on these as well. There aren't many videos out on them, but a roll top, and the roll top ends have got a clip on, and that clips down in there. And I'm not too fussed by the roll top side of it after having a play with it just for a little bit. And this is not a gear review because I've just had it. This is the first time I've taken it out. It's got a zip at the back here, so you can get into without having to undo the roll top, you can get into the back. So I've got my tarp there and a few beers. Zips are good, toggles are good for the zips. Got double zip up there. It's actually been quite comfortable. Standard straps, good grab handle there, very adjustable up around here, but I haven't had any need to adjust it. You've got the usual chest strap going across here, and then you've got a waist. I'll get this up. And then you've got a standard waist strap, which is a little bit weird in that the adjustments for the waist strap, you've got two adjustments, one upper and one lower, and they go into a single waist clip, which is just a 1-inch clip. So a little bit different there, but it's been actually very comfortable. Overall, the whole thing has been very comfortable. There we go. What I do like about it is on the side here, you've got the mole webbing, which I've got a couple of carabiners on there. So in there I've got one knife, and I've got, if I can get hold of it, my silky big boy, which is just in there, and they basically are tied on to the mole webbing, and they drop down. There's a gap between the main section and the pocket, which goes all the way down and all the way through to, there's no stopper at the other end, so it does go all the way through to the bottom. Yeah, nice big 3 litres, tons of space. Actually really like these, just with the clips on. Yeah, that's it. So I've got mole webbing on this side, and then on the other side I've actually got my first aid. This is my bleeds kit. In the bag I've got my boo-boo kit, but this is my bleeds kit. So in there I've now got 2 tourniquets, the compressed gauze, the Israeli bandage, a few other bits and bobs, some tape, a little bit of packing, and so on. So that just sits in there now, and I've just attached the Velcro on, and there we go, and that will just sit there. So yeah, there we go, that's the bag. It is made out of Cordura 500, so it's 500D Cordura. So it is a good quality material. I think Cordura is actually the company, the name of the company that makes the material. But it's a good tough material. I've been all over it, inside and out, and stitching looks really good. So overall, I'm really quite happy. These pockets here that are on the front, because you don't have a top pocket, this is what I use instead of my top pocket. And then you've got a pocket down here. You can fit quite a lot in there, but the more you fit in there, the less room you've got in the main compartment. So yeah, it's give and take. But overall, yeah, I swear it's bigger than 45 litres, but yeah, apparently 45 litres. But there we go. So far, so good. Right, let's go and get some wood. Right, let's see how quietly we can do this. I do feel really exposed here. Just pretty much over there I've got a pathway which is about 100 metres, 80 metres, something like that, which I know people do walk along, and then pretty much from there all the way around. That's my main threat area. So I've got my stump here, and on my stump I've even got a little bar a little bar stool for my beer. So I'm going to put my hammock across there, and I'm going to put the fire here, and that way I'm looking out into where I consider tonight to be sort of the threat area in terms of people coming and wandering around with torches, etc. Right, I'll just go through what I keep in my fire kit. May give you some ideas, something to play with, and I'm not saying I'm an expert in any of this. In fact, I'm almost certainly not an expert in any of this. As I've said before, I'm just a keen amateur. But this is the fire break, the wind break that I have, and that will go around the fire tonight and just try and retain it a little bit, and just protect it from any flame being visible over there, and hopefully I can keep it down. The snag is when you first light a fire, it generally gets quite big as you get the heat into it, and then it will calm down. So there's always a little bit of risk when you're doing it, when you're first lighting it. But my fire bag is now this one. It used to be a green bag, but the trouble is I had a green bag for the fire kit, and then I had a blue bag for my cook kit, and so in the dark I would get them muddled up. So there we go, I just put it in the yellow one now, which was redundant. But yeah, I'll have a look in here and I'll just show you the sort of things that I take out. In fact, let's start off with lighters. Now, what's it called? Exotac is a waterproof container. I've just tied a fisherman's knot on so I can keep both ends of it like that, so I don't lose the lid. And then you just stick a Bic lighter in there. Waterproof, you know, quite obvious. But a lighter, a flame, is an emergency backup for me. I just don't use that if I can avoid it. When I say emergency, I don't mean survival emergency. I just mean it's very late, everything's wet, I just need to get a bloody fire going, and I've had enough. Then this comes out. I've always got two is one, etc. This is my other lighter. It's not a Bic lighter, this one. A sonar. I don't know what. I don't know. I've put a load of Gorilla Tape around it, so that's wrapped around, and then some twine. And the reason I've got the twine, so the Gorilla Tape, great for getting the fire going. So you know, I could rip off a few strips of that, and then using the lighter, I can light the Gorilla Tape, and that's great just for getting helping start the fire and getting going. But you need a naked flame to start with that. But if I run out of the liquid, then I've still always got, the flint on the top. If I can do it without doing the, yeah, okay, I've got the flint on the top, so I can still create a spark, and I can use the twine and pull that to pieces, and then make that into a nice little bundle, which I can get a spark into, get that lit, and then the Gorilla Tape will kick in, and I'll put strips of that, peel strips off, and then you just screw them up, and then those can go on, and that works really well. That's just been sat in my bag for ages. That was the first one I used, and then I got the waterproof cover for the other one. So that's the lighter. Then I've got into my ferro rod. This is a 6" by 1/2" rod. I've got a couple of these. It's a nice soft material. So all the bits, the iron bits and all the other bits and bobs that are in there, I think it's about 4% magnesium. Yeah, great. For the big rods, particularly in the winter, I prefer to use the big rod, and I use that with my knife, because I think it's got a better on the spine. Is a better bit of angle to get the sparks going. But this one works, you know, pretty well. It gets enough spark out. With ferro rods, why I like keeping this little striker on there is because it depends on what you're trying to light. So if I'm trying to light a load of cotton wool, something's going to pick up real easy, because with a big one, with the knife, just chucks sparks out all over the bloody place. So something that's got lots of fine bits, and you've got a nice bundle, you know, something a good bird's nest, then that's great. But if you've got some fat wood, which I'm going to use tonight, you take off the shavings and then you turn your knife over and you just scrape till you get a little fluffy section, cut that off, do another little fluffy section, cut that off. Those are very difficult to do, which you would have seen in one of my other videos where I was trying to light it with the knife and trying to throw all these sparks down, and they just weren't catching because they were just going all over the place. And I got home and I thought, why couldn't I get that going? And then I realized that the last time I got it going was with one of these little strikers, and then I used the thumb technique rather than the pin technique with a knife, where you put and hold the knife maybe against your foot and then you pull the ferro rod away. The thumb technique is you're just putting your thumb right down low, and you're accurate. There we go. You're a bit more accurate. You're effectively flicking with your thumb, and you find that it's more accurate in terms of where it places the sparks. And actually, that was much better with the fat wood. So whether you use one of these or you use your knife, kind of depends on, and if you're going to use a big one or a small one, kind of depends on the material that you're going to do. But yeah, ideally it shouldn't take you long to get, it shouldn't take too many strikes to get it going. And if it's not going, as it didn't with me when I tried that with the fat wood in that previous video, then something is wrong. Either your technique is wrong, or the material that you're trying to throw the sparks into is wrong. All right, what else have we got? We've got a little candle, which I always bring with me. It's a wax candle, very small. It comes from, in the UK, it's the Bath Bushcraft shop, and it's a nano beeswax survival candle. It's 5 hours, great just for holding a bit of flame. So if you do sort of run out of ideas, but 5 hours, you can just get that under and dry out the tinder, and then hopefully the tinder will get going. You just can keep the flame going for a lot longer to help get things moving, instead of using a flame from your lighter. Next one, which I've practiced with a few times, I've lit, I don't know, about half a dozen fires with some char cloth, is a flint and steel. This is a new piece of flint. Actually, the piece of flint I used before, I don't know if it was flint, it was just a stone that I found on my driveway, which seemed to spark up quite nicely, but this one goes really nicely. And then I use a bit of char cloth, so I'm going to be making some char cloth today. I'll show you the char cloth in a second. But doing that, but you've got to get a really good bird's nest and then get it in there, and it does take some time. But I always, if I can do this, then I will do it. If not, I'll go for the ferro rod. But yeah, so I do it occasionally, but you need to get a really good bird's nest going, and a lot of preparation to make sure that you get it right. So yeah, I'm not going to do that tonight. It's probably just going to be the ferro rod tonight. Something else which I'm trying to get into, I'm going to try it whenever we get some sun, although we did have some sun earlier, is a lens. There we go. Oh, this is a 6x magnification lens. I got it online on Etsy. I haven't tried this yet. What I do also have are the little credit cards. I don't have one with, in fact I do have one in my mini fire kit, and it's basically, and I've had to cut it down so it fits in here, but it's basically it's like a credit card, that sort of size, that sort of thickness as well, yet it magnifies it. And I've actually managed to get a little bird's nest lit when I was down on the beach with the family. They were messing around and I thought, you know what, I'm bored, I'm just going to try it, see if I can do this, and which it works quite nicely. And that's in March in the UK, so you know, I was able to get a little fire going with that, and I think this will be absolutely brilliant. So I'm really looking forward to using this summer. One of these, the little bellows, I mean, they are absolutely brilliant. I use these routinely. This one got a bit stiff, so I just put a little bit of mineral oil and rubbed it over the thing just so it runs smoothly, because over the fire it tends to dry out very quickly. But absolutely essential bit of kit. I also carry some waterproof matches. There are loads out there. There's a striker there, a load of matches, and there's another striker inside. That is my absolute fallback option if everything is soaking wet. For some reason I can't get the flame from the lighters. I probably don't even need that, to be honest, in my set. And then in here, in a plastic bag, I've got a number of other plastic bags. So there's some cotton wool in the usual thing in Vaseline. I've then got a couple of fire lighting blocks and a couple of Tampacks which sit in that one. And the Tampacks are obviously in their own little bag. Those fire lighting blocks do tend to give off a bit of moisture. I don't quite understand why. A bit of fat wood in these ones, and a couple of those little plugs, the wax plugs, which are great. And then finally in here, I don't know what the material is, this brown material. I've got no idea what that is. I think it's just bits from twine. I've then got some twine as well. I've then also got this is called a King Alfred's cake. It grows on dead ash. But my plan is to try and use the lens and see if I can get an ember going in here, blow it and get it going. And then I've got a little bit of char cloth in there as well. I'm gonna make some more char cloth tonight. But so these all go in plastic bags, and then they all go into another plastic bag, just to keep everything dry. And that's everything that's in my main fire kit. And I take that main fire kit everywhere. I don't bother really breaking it up. You know, I just like taking all the options, and then I can decide on the day, depending on what material I've got around, you know, what I want to do. What I've also got is a little mini, I've got a little mini tin. Let's just chuck that one down there. Little mini tin, and in here I've just got some plugs, a couple of those wax cakes, a lighter, a little emergency ferro rod, oh, and my little credit card lens that's right at the bottom, which I had to cut down a little bit to fit it in, but that'll be fine. And so that's what I take away. If I want to go particularly light and I don't want to mess around, then I would just take that with me. I've also got a tinder box. This I may or may not take, depends. If I'm going for multi-days, then I might take this tinder box, but I've got other tinder that's in my drawer in the garage. But in here is all sorts. You know, there's char cloth, there's those cakes, there's just everything. Another King Alfred's cake, the plugs, some Tampacks, you know, just every option really under the sun. And I don't normally take that one out. I'll normally take out, you know, the stuff that I've got in my fire kit. And then finally, this is my char cloth tin. It's just a circular tin with a hole drilled in it. I don't know why it's really deformed now. It's all as if it's all sucked itself in. So it's really deformed. I've given up on that one now, so I've got another one of these tins, these hinged tins, and I've got a load of char cloth which I'm going to get going tonight. I've also, as well as some cotton, so there's an old sock, I've also got some cotton rope, and I'm going to make that into some char material tonight, if I have time. You don't need to drill a hole in one of these lids, because you've got the hinges, the air escapes out of those. But yeah, brilliant. Chuck that on the fire, forget about it. There is no time limit on on doing the charring. But yeah, this is my new one. This one's a little bit shagged. That'll do. I'll show you. So the hammock that I'm using is the Hummingbird hammock, which I think I've used a couple of times before. Seated Summit, which is a great sleeping bag. Spark SP3, so that will get me down to -8 apparently. Not taking my really comfy pillow, just taking a blow up pillow. I can't remember who makes this, I think it's Thermo, but I want to keep the bulk down. And then Cumulus Silver 450, and the 450 is the more wintry one. I think that goes down to about -3, something like that, and it's a much longer one. So I did have my summer one as well, which was going to be my option until I saw the temperature was going to go down to +3. And like I say, I always, if they say the temperature's going, in fact they're saying it's going to go down to +4, so that for me, I plan on going down to -1 degrees. So I'm just going to have a pork loin, or a couple of pork loins with some smashed potato with a bit of boiling water, etc. And that'll do me in an early night and a little bit of a film to watch. I'm loving being out here. I really like it, although it is keeping me a little bit on edge looking around, but I'm starting to feel comfortable in my surroundings, which could be dangerous, getting too comfortable. So this is an infrared sensor on its own, but it's still daylight, so it's going to see everything pretty well. We'll see what it's like later on. Okay, what I'm doing now is wild camping suicide, which is putting a light on for filming. Right, time to light the fire. The moon is right out. I mean, you're not going to be able to see it with this GoPro, but lots of helicopters out at the moment. I can hear them, and it's a Wednesday night, and no one wants to night fly on a Thursday night. So everyone's trying to get the night flying in tonight. It's nice clear skies. You've got almost a full moon. That's it. Everyone's going to get out. So it's just gone. As soon as it goes 30 minutes after sunset, that's it. They're all. You can just hear them all heading off. Right, these are my 2 firelighters. They're too soggy, I think, really. So next time I'm going to put about 1/3 of lighting fluid and about 2/3 of wax. There we go. Put that away. Here come all the helicopters. There you go. So that is, now I know what time it is, because they're all going to launch at the same sort of time. It'll be a mad rush to everyone get off, and in exactly 2 hours they'll all be back, coming back over me. So they fly, because of the way the wind is at the moment, very light. They're going to fly around to the north of me, and then when they come back, they're going to fly back in to the south.
Hey, Mom! Oh, save me. Oh. Noah, you're going to your mother.
Right, cool down a little bit. See what we got. Whee! Port loin with some smashed potato, which is a great invention, and pepper sauce. Right, I've had no luck. I've been out for a search. There's a vixen over that way. I tried sort of calling. I do a little sort of distressed animal sound, and sometimes that works, but nothing, didn't come out. And I went on for about 500 meters down that way, and just stopping and standing for about 45 minutes, nothing. So I'm gonna go to sleep. See you in the morning. Morning. This has got to be one of the most comfortable hammocks I've ever slept in. This Hummingbird. It's a really small, lightweight package, but it is really basic. You know, and it is. I think it's either 20 or 30D material. I've got it 2 slack at the moment. I'd say 2 slack. I mean, if I look up at the ridge line just, you probably know, I think you can see, but it bends. it's far too slack. But it means that I've got one hell of an asymmetric lay, and it is just really comfy. it's really comfy. I don't understand why it's so comfortable. It's really wide. I've got a lot of material out here still to go. I could get more asymmetric easily. It's ridiculous. Really good hammock. Really small package, really lightweight. It holds 350 pounds. It's got big long straps. It's great, but obviously no bug net. But this time of year is when I like to use it, really, when the flies haven't come out yet, and I just prefer lying down. I'm just looking up at these lovely pine trees. Right, just been out looking with the thermal, just to see if I can see any creatures. This is the best time in the morning, really. I saw what was probably a mouse or something like that over there. That was about it. Nothing else anywhere around here, which is a bit of a shame, because I was really hoping to see some more of those brown hares. I saw that one yesterday about 30 meters down that way when I first arrived here, but he scooted. And they look quite weird. The first time I saw them, when I came to this same wood a week or so ago and wandered round, I saw 3 or 4 of them, 4 of them. And the first one I saw, I thought it was a deer. But then I thought, look at it running. It's running weird. And then I could see its fluffy back legs, fluffy white back legs, and a fluffy tail. It's like, that's weird. Is that one of those muntjac deers, which I've seen one of in the past around in Somerset? But yeah, and then I just saw more of these hares. So I don't know where they've suddenly come from, because I've been coming here for the last 3 years, and I've never seen them before. But there's quite a few of them. Yeah. So last night I went out for a little wander with this, and with my little infrared setup. The infrared setup it's a relatively low power. It's only really good out to 60 meters. You'll see rabbit's eyes, etc. beyond that, because they've got reflective surface and it shines back. So you'll see rabbits maybe out to 100 meters. But I just use those. But you can use those very easily for moving through a wood or something like that. They've got no zoom. They've got a big field of view. They're pretty good for that. I got another set which I use for rabbit hunting, which when I go out looking for rabbits in a mate's field, they're good out to 200 meters, and they've got a laser rangefinder on them. They're a monster, but you can't walk through a wood with those because they've got about 6 times zoom. One last look with this, and right, all that rope, that's all I got in the end. There is material in there, but there is not a lot of material. Oh well, put it in the stash. just before I set out, knowing the temperature when you're out and about in the woods or anywhere really while camping, I think it's just quite a nice thing to do. Now I used to have it was a Garmin Tempe, I think it was called, and it would be a Bluetooth bit of information which would give me the temperature, the max and min, and it was linked to my watch. But since I've changed my watch, it's bloody useless now, so I'm going to move that on. But looking for another digital thermometer that gives you max and min is really difficult. You can get the big Thermo things, big white ones, square ones, and I've got those at home for around the house, but couldn't find anything. But now I have found a Thermo drop. You can only buy them from the company who make them in the States. They can turn on and off. They go 8 degrees. It does pick up your body temperature quite easily, and then if I hold it for 3 seconds, I think that's my maximum temperature, which was yesterday at 10 degrees, and minimum was just 5 degrees last night. Press it again, back to the temperature. You see it heats up with my hand. Yeah, it's rocketing. So that is it's a really nice, simple little bit of kit. In fact, now I've done it, to reset the whole thing, all I've got to do is just turn the whole thing, press it and hold it for 5 seconds. Whole thing should go off. There we go. And that'll be reset for the next time I use it. You just turn it on when you start your camp. But like I say, you can only get them from the company. They've sent them out really quick. It was out, delivered in about 5 or 6 days. But you got to pay that shipping is a bit, sort of doubles the price of it, so you're going to end up paying about 20 quid for that thing, 20-25 quid. I've just seen what I thought was a hare to start with, but I'll show you on the thermal. There's no way I would have seen it with the naked eye, but it was just scanning around, bang, there. It's really obvious, but you look with the naked eye and couldn't see a thing. Thought it was a hare for ages and slowly made my way towards it. Got on there again, and then I saw it lift its head up visually, and I think it was a deer, a roe deer, and then it bounded off. So because it bounded off like that, how it ran off, and you'll see it on the clip of video, it pretty much looks like that was a deer and not a hare, which is a bit of a shame. But these certainly work, so I'm definitely going to come back out again with these, even in the daylight, just to be able to scan an area and go, right there, that's something. And I've seen a couple of little critters running around as well. Anyway, right, that's me done. Hope you enjoyed the video. A little bit of a chat about the rucksack, the OneTigris Wild Rocket 45, which I'm actually quite impressed by. I'm not a massive fan, I have to say, of the roll top yet. I might become one, but everything else about it is great. You can't really overload those two front pockets, otherwise you are just taking up space in the main compartment, which is fairly obvious, but they are 1.5 litres. I don't like missing the pocket on the top, on the lid, but the top pocket in there is effectively that, and then I got a bottom pocket as well, and then those two big side pockets are fantastic. I love the fact that I can get my first aid kit velcroed onto the side, loads of things to hang your saw and an axe and a knife and everything like that. If that's what you want to do, it just drops down in there with some molly to attach it on. Yeah, everything works. It's reasonably comfortable. I'm not an expert on what is comfortable and what isn't, but you know, I don't really walk very far with these things on, you know, maybe 5-6 miles tops really when I go wild camping, so it feels absolutely fine. Yeah, top little bit of kit. I think so I've got my heavy, my medium and my light, and I think it's going to remain as my lighter setup. The weight of it today dry is, so the base weight is 14 kilograms. Really I want that to be down at 12, between 10 and 12, somewhere like that ideally. But I've got camera gear, I've got some extra stuff that I brought along with me, tripod and things like that, so it would be normally So that's what it'll be. I might keep the Forces 44. It was relatively cheap, got a little bit of a discount on it. I might keep it just for those urban times where I really don't want to look like I'm off doing some bushcraft or wild camping. So that may stay. We shall see. Right, I will see you next time. Take care. Bye.